Hi everyone. In this video, I will show you how to build an AI agent that uses a Pinecone to retrieve knowledge and answer the question accurately. You know, the AI can't answer all of the question. That's mostly specific to the organization. So in this case, the organization uh, knowledge is stored on a vector database. So the agent will be try to get the answer from this knowledge base database and give the accurate answer for the users. So in this demo, I'm using a Pinecone as a vector database and OpenAI for LLM. So by end of this video, you will know how to create a Pinecone account, generate an API key, create a vector database, upload your own knowledge base, connect it to OpenAI, and build an AI agent that retrieve accurate information before answer the question. So it's very straightforward. Let's see what's the main function this agent is going to do. So when the user asks a question about an organization, for example, how many annual leave is available, how many days I have a long leave available, that kind of specific to the organization related question, the LLM can't answer accurately. So it tried to be find the answer and giving the wrong information to the user. So in this agent, so the user asking the question to the AI agent and that pass to the LLM. The LLM will this try to be get the answer from itself. Then it's finding out that it doesn't have the answer for this question, so it asking the tool that we develop here to use it to get that answer from the knowledge tool from our vector database, and it again it's sent into LLM and fine tuning the answer, and the user will get the accurate answer. So I'll go straight to the code. So before that, so I'm using here Python and Visual Studio Code. You can see here .environment file which has a open API key. You can use any LLM. So I'm here use a Pinecone API to store our index, our knowledge database, and store here. So I will show you the index database. So the Pinecone database is very straightforward. So everything in the cloud. So it managed in the cloud. So all you need to use, you can, uh, for example, this one, the Pinecone one, you can log into using free account. So if you have a Gmail account or something, you can log in. And this is the interface. So here you can see about the database overview and the databases. So here you can see I have created one index which I created already. So I'm going to explain that one. So here you can see this index database. If you click on that one, it will be show all the data that's stored here. So that means these are the how do you say, it's a knowledge that we store here in the with the embedded with the embedded. Let's see how to create this index using the Visual Studio Code. So in the .environment file, you're storing the Open API key, Pine API key. You know how to create these keys from. I'll show here for you can see you can create a new Open API keys. Just clicking this one and give it a name, and you can create the So I'm using OpenAI library and Pinecone library, and this OS and .env for the getting the values from this .env file, just only for getting the API keys. Then import JSON. I will show later when we retrieve the data from the LLM in the JSON format. So we need to be get that into a text format to the giving the output to the users. So this one, I'm going through this code quickly. So this load environment, nothing else. It's getting the value from the .env file and storing those API key into the Open API key and Pine API key. And again, I creating the object for the LLM and for Pinecone from using the libraries. Okay, now let's see how to create the Pinecone index for the knowledge retrieval. So Pinecone index is something called, it's a database. So here it called index, but in usual we normally call it a database. So all I'm adding one just if condition. So I'm defining the name called knowledge if already not exist this index. So I'm creating the index using create index for model. So when you creating the index, you have to be pass minimum some parameters. So the first one is the index name, calling as knowledge here. And you can, I'm using a AWS, so you can use a Azure Cloud or anything, Azure or Gem, Google, anything. So you have to choose the region and embedded. This is the important one. So which embedded model we are going to be used for this index. So this is the one, how the index creating, how the vectors are creating for the our records. So here I am using Llama text embedded version 2. So which field you need to be embedded. So in here I'm using as a content is my text that need to be converted into a vector using this model. So this one, if you run this code, this will after defining this one and just index equal to the pc.index knowledge. So this up to this one, this will create the index database. So that's this one. So if you click on the database in the Pinecone interface, you can see one index is created. You can see all the parameters that we find. Cloud is AWS, region is US East 1, and type is dense, and capacity mode on demand, and dimension is, you can see 124 dimension. So the model is LLM text embedded version 2. So if you click on this one, you can see the records. So let's, once you create these indexes, so in this is for the demo purpose. So I am giving some sample records inserting. So this is the way upsert record function is used to. So here I'm using again, so the index, once the index is created, under the index, in the database, we create the database and we create the schema. So similar to here, we are creating the namespace. It's called docs. So it's a in index database. It's called namespace. So I name it as a docs. So here you can see how I'm inserting the record. ID is policy one and content is this one. For example, content is refund request must be submitted within 30 days of purchase. After 30 days, only store credit is available. So that's the content. So this is the one going to be converted as a vector in the index. So category is policy. So each and every record you can see I'm passing the ID, then the content and the category. So this ID and the content will be only used for um, filtering the data, because when you have billions of records, so it would be help to filtering and getting more efficient for the search knowledge. So so I have created the 10 records. All these 10 records you can see in your here. You can see the top 10 search. So this is the recording. So you can see the ID there, category there, and the content also. You can see exactly what we have typed here. You might think why it is not showing the vector. So the vector is stored inside, so only you will see the content here. So when you storing a record, it will be stored exact text as well as the vector. So the vector only used for the when we do the search function internally. And here you can edit, delete, and as usual like a SQL database. Hope you understand so far how to create the index in Pinecone database and how to insert records. Now we have to create as I explained earlier, the LLM. We are creating the tool that will help for LLM to get the accurate information. So I'm going to create the tool. For the tool, you can see I'm going to create the tool. So for the tool, I need a one function. So the tool type is function. So I'm going to create the function. So in this one search function, so we are passing the query, and it using the result will be index.search function. So we are providing the namespace. Earlier I told it's like a schema under the database. So which namespace we to filter, and we can apply some filter like category or kind of things if we require. So input is equal to text. So this is the one text query, and top 3. So this one will be show how many records need to be returned. In the search, it will be trying to match many records using the vector, but we have a limiting how many records is need to be retrieved. So for that one, so we are using another one more function, re-rank. So the re-rank doesn't create a new embedding. It perform more detailed comparison between the query and the retrieval text. So you can, the name itself, you can understand it's a re-ranking. So here also we are using the BG re-rank version 2 M3 model, and we retrieving top 3 record. So ranking field is content. So this model will be getting the refine the retrieving the top 3 account, and try to give the best answer, the best matching answer for the user's query, and that will be concatenate into a string, then that will be returned using this function. So now I'm creating the tool. So this tool can be called by LLM. So the tools here, like I'm defining type is equal to function. We are going to call this function, and the name search knowledge base, and description we can provide. So I'm here search the company knowledge base for the policies, specs, HR info, and procedure, and parameters type object, properties query type string, and description the search query and required query. The parameters are, you can see the type is equal to object, properties, query type string, and description the search query and required. We are passing the query. So the query will be passed into query the LLM using this tool and passing this query, and the query will be passed into the function. So this is how it's works. So now we have defined the tool. Now we need to start writing the agent function. So here I'm defining a question called ask. So you are writing a question. So the role will be a user, a content is a question. This is LLM. So what is happening as I explain here? Um, as I explain here, first when the user asks a question, so the question will be passed into AI agent. So the AI agent will be decide whether it require the tool or it can answer itself. So this is a command like uh, ChatGPT. So I'm using the GPT-4.0 mini model, and you can use more accurate models. Uh, tools and parameter call false parallel, so I'm stopping the parallel running, so we are passing the message. So then we are checking the response from the LLM. So the response say tool call, so the LLM giving an instruction saying that call the tool. So that's, it's like a standard things. So if the finished reason is a tool call, then we need to be use the tool. So the which was search function base, which was we have written here. This is the tool we are using and passing this query. So then that retrieve the messages, and as I told, it retrieving the picking the best three matching and records from the vector database and concatenate into the as a string, and it pass into the LLM again. So then LLM fine tuning the answer and responses to the user with the accurate information, which is more accurate for the specific organization. Let's try here. So I'm using this ask function here. What's the refund policy? So earlier I told that, so you can see I'm saying the refund request must be submitted within 30 days of purchase. After 30 days, only store credit is available. This is not a common for all organizations. So the LLM has a different value for the different organization. For this specific organization, it's clearly mentioned 30 days purchase. So let's ask this question and run this one. You can see it perfectly answer. The refund policy state that refund request must be submitted within 30 days of purchase. After 30 days, only store credit will be available. Hope you clearly understand. So how to use this rack kind of function, storing the knowledge in the Pinecone vector database, and create a tool to use to retrieve that information with the help of LLM, and it giving the accurate answer for the user specific to that organization. So as a summary, you understand creating the Pinecone account, what is index, what is uh, namespace, and how the records are stored there, and generating API key, how to store in the Visual Studio Code, and vector database, upload your knowledge, how we insert the record into the knowledge base, connect it to the OpenAI, and build a agent and retrieve accurate information beyond answering. So hope you understand this one. So